I'm going to let the defendants sit where they are while I talk for a while, and then once I pronounce sentence, I'll ask them to stand. So just bear with me for a while I do what I need to do. Earlier in this case, at a bail hearing, I said to Mr. Simpson, I didn't know if he was arrogant or ignorant or both. And during the trial and through this proceeding, I got the answer. And it was both. At the time, not now after you've been locked up for 64 days, but at the time of this event, and at the time I saw you at the bail hearing, it was clear to the court that you believed you could do in Las Vegas what you couldn't do elsewhere. You could get your stuff back. Now, there's still questions about whose stuff it is. I think that's still in dispute. You thought it was yours. Your counsel said that over and over to me during the trial and now during the sentencing, as well as you. The tapes, however, in this case, indicated to me when I listened that you didn't want all of those items to fall into the hands of the Goldmans. And you were heard on the tape maybe making reference to them as the gold diggers. That was then, this is now. So you put your group together and you went to the Palace Station to get those items back. And what you didn't know, and also you, Mr. Stewart, didn't know, was the planning was taped, the event was taped, phone calls were taped, conversations were taped. They had videotape of you going in. They had videotape of you going out. And the party afterwards were taped. Everything in this case was on tape. And it's your own words, Mr. Simpson. Your own words that could be heard throughout those events that have brought you here to this seat in my courtroom. Because we heard it all. And what came out on the tapes said to me, and obviously to the jury, that the evidence in this case was overwhelming. It was overwhelming. How often, as a judge, do I sit and listen to a trial and hear everything laid out for me to be able to hear? It's very rare. Now, the event in question in the room at the Palace Station, where I went to that room, it was a little bitty room, and there were a lot of you big guys in that little bitty room. And when I heard the tape, that was not a, oh, just give me my stuff back, I want my stuff. That was nobody leave the room. That was actually a very violent event. And I don't care what Beardsley says now, or what Fromong says now. I know what Beardsley says immediately afterwards when he called the police. We heard that too. That was a violent event. Guns were brought. At least one gun was drawn. The potential for harm to occur in that room was tremendous. And I don't know how fortunate you consider yourself to be at this moment, but really, truly, if the gun had gone off and bullets started flying, not only could one in the room have been hurt, but some poor tourist walking down the hallway or worker at that hotel could have been hurt. That is why we have rules in the state of Nevada that say you can't take back your own property by force, anybody else's property by force. You can't do it. There's no self-help. You cannot do it. But you did. Now, I hear Mr. Galanter, he says, oh, Mr. Simpson was just stupid. He didn't really mean to do anything wrong. That is not really evidenced by what transpired here. When you take a gun with you and you take men with you to show in a show of force, that's not just a, hey, give me my stuff back. That's something else. And that's what went on here. And that's why we're all here. Because this is not behavior that we can just say, oops, it's okay, no problem. Don't worry. No harm, no foul. Then, after the event, all of a sudden the realization hits and there are phone calls made. There was no gun. There was no gun. There was no gun. Mr. Simpson made those phone calls. There was no gun. Well, why in the heck would he be calling anybody to say there was no gun? Except for the fact that he realized there was a gun, and ups, I might be in some trouble. And then, at the party, the laughter, the joking, did you see the look on his face? Ha ha ha, isn't this funny? You knew what was going on there. You knew. And Mr. Stewart, you got caught up in something. I'm not sure how much you knew, but clearly Mr. Simpson knew. I actually am surprised that I heard from you, Mr. Simpson. I had believed that there wasn't going to be a statement from you, and I was going to be concerned about your lack of responsibility for this action. And it's kind of a fine line in what you said to me. I hear what you said and what Mr. Galanter said, which is, I didn't intend to do anything wrong, so I must not have done something wrong, so there was no criminal intent. It was just all stupidity. I have to tell you now, it was much more than stupidity. And it's very rare that I have somebody talking to me at a sentencing about mens rea and criminal intent. It really doesn't matter. You went to the room, you took guns, meaning you and the group. You used force. You took property, whether it was yours or somebody else's. And in this state, that amounts to robbery with use of a deadly weapon. Whether it's you having the gun, or Mr. McClinton having the gun, or Mr. Alexander having the gun. When I first started this trial and I talked to the jury when we had the whole panel in, I stated to the group that if they were here because they wanted to punish Mr. Simpson for what had happened previously, then this wasn't the case for them. And I meant that. As the judge in this case, I'm not here to sentence Mr. Simpson for what's happened in his life previously in the criminal justice system. As a judge who presides in courtrooms, in this courtroom every day, and over trials, hundreds of trials during the 6 years I've been here, I have great respect for the criminal justice system. I'm part of it. And as a judge who has taken jury verdicts for years, I respect the verdicts of my juries. I have to respect what happened in the case 13 years ago with Mr. Simpson. The jury decided. There are many people who disagree with that verdict, but that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that the state brought charges, a trial was conducted, evidence was heard, testimony received, the jury deliberated, they reached a verdict. And I have to respect that verdict as well. There's nothing more that's going to happen here other than a sentence for you, Mr. Stewart, and a sentence for you, Mr. Simpson, based on the evidence that occurred in this case. I'm not here to try and cause any retribution or any payback for anything else. I want that to be perfectly clear to everyone. Because if I did, then I wouldn't be doing my job as a judge who presides over a courtroom in this jurisdiction. Okay. The problem is that I can't ignore that the behavior at the time on September 13th was reckless. It disregarded the law. The law was broken. Force was used. Guns were used, or at least a gun was used. There was another gun there. The potential for harm was great. You're fortunate nothing more happened. Property was stolen. The jury convicted you, and now I'll sentence you. Okay, Mr. Stewart, go ahead and stand up for me. And you go ahead and you can stand up, Mr. Simpson, as well. All right, Mr. Stewart, in addition to the $25 administrative assessment and the $150 DNA fee, as to count 1, the conspiracy to commit a crime, 12 months in the Clark County Detention Center. As to count 2, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, a minimum term of 12 months, a maximum term of 48 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. Count 2 to run concurrent to count 1. Count 3, conspiracy to commit robbery, a minimum term of 12 months, max term of 48 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. Count 3 to run concurrent to count 2. Count 4, burglary while in possession of a deadly weapon, a minimum term of 26 months, a maximum term of 96 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. Count 4 to run concurrent to count 3. Count 5, first-degree kidnapping with use of a deadly weapon. A fixed term of 15 years with parole eligibility beginning after 5 years. And due to the additional danger that the weapon posed in enhancing the danger during that event, a consecutive minimum term of 12 months, maximum term of 72 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. On count 6, the same thing. It's a kidnapping with use of a deadly weapon. Oh, and count 5 will run concurrent with count 4. Count 6, the fixed 15 parole eligibility after 5 with a consecutive 12 to 72. Count 7, the robbery with use of a deadly weapon.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, does count 6 run concurrently?
It's concurrent.
Thank you.
Count 7, the robbery with use, a minimum term of 60 months, a maximum term of 180 months, with a consecutive 12 to 72. That'll run concurrent to count 6. Count 8, a minimum term of 60 months, a maximum term of 72, a maximum term of 180 months, with a consecutive 12 to 72. Count 8 will run concurrent to count 7. On count 9, which is the assault with a deadly weapon, a minimum term of 18 months, a maximum term of 72 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. And that'll run consecutive to 8. And count 10, a minimum term of 18 months, a maximum term of 72 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections, and that'll run concurrent to 9. And I believe that completes Mr. Stewart. His credit for time served, what, 64 days?
No, whatever it is, as of today, you'll be credited, correct?
Let me see. I thought they said 64. Well, they have it up to today, so it's 64.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart, have a seat. All right, for Mr. Simpson. All right, Mr. Simpson, in addition to the $25 administrative assessment and the $150 DNA fee, I'm going to sentence you as follows. That's 6. Count 1, conspiracy to commit a crime, 1 year in the county jail. Count 2, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, a minimum term of 12 months, max term of 48 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. Count 2 to run concurrent to count 1. Count 3, conspiracy to commit robbery, a minimum term of 12 months, max term of 48 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. Count 3 to run concurrent to count 2. Count 4, burglary while in possession of a deadly weapon, a minimum term of 26 months, a maximum term of 120 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. Count 4 to run concurrent to count 3. Count 5, the first-degree kidnapping with use of a deadly weapon, a fixed term of 15 years, parole eligibility beginning after 5 years, with a consecutive 12 to 72. That'll run concurrent to count 4. Count 6, first-degree kidnapping with use of a deadly weapon, a fixed term of 15 years with parole eligibility beginning after 5 years, with a consecutive 12 to 72. That'll run concurrent to count 5. Robbery with use of a deadly weapon, a minimum term of 60 months, a maximum term of 180 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections, with a consecutive 12 to 72, and again the enhancement because of the increased harm that the gun posed. Count 7 will run concurrent to count 6. Count 8, robbery with use of a deadly weapon, a minimum term of 60 months, a max term of 180 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections, with a consecutive 12 to 72. That'll be concurrent to count 7. The assault with a deadly weapon, a minimum term of 18 months, a max term of 72 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. That'll run consecutive to count 8. Count 10, minimum term of 18 months, a max term of 72 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections. Count 10 will run consecutive to count 9. Credit for time served is 64 days. That concludes today's sentencing. We are adjourned.
I'm sorry. We need to renew, now that he's been sentenced, it
Okay.
now becomes a post-conviction bail motion. I got it. Read, under Nevada NRS 178.488, we'd renew our motion for bail. Now that sentence has been imposed, we'd renew and adopt all the arguments made pre-sentencing and pre-conviction.
Okay, and you're joining. Both motions are denied. Thank you.